Dear students of class 8A and 8B, in today's lesson, I shall have to teach two most important points about the United Nations. What is United Nations? In my previous class, I discussed. United Nations is one of the most international political organization. Now, why was it set up? It was set up in order to establish international understanding, cooperation, mutual understanding, and brotherhood, healthy relationship among the nation states and different states of the whole world. It is due to the reason the United Nations was founded. In the year 1945, this political organization was established after the Second World War. Now, Yalta Conference, what is the importance of the Yalta Conference? The importance of the Yalta Conference. The Yalta Conference was held in order to frame certain laws about the United Nations. You know, earlier one international political organization was set up. What is it? It was the League of Nations. The League of Nations was established when the First World War was going on, but was going to be ended, going to be over right that moment, or at the end of the war. According to some historians, the the League of Nations was established. But the thing is that the League of Nations was established at the time when the world leaders realized that another world war should be checked. Otherwise, the same horrors, the same damage, same brutal killings of human beings would be occurred. So, in order to avoid another world war, the League of Nations, the League of Nations was established, but the League of Nations failed to achieve its success. The League of Nations failed to achieve its success. According to me, the League of Nations was established when the First World War was going on, according to me. But it is controversial issue. That's why I should not go for any controversy. But the League of Nations was established at the time when the First World War was going on. But the First World War started. But it failed to achieve success. And so, the world leaders at the end of the First World War, decided to, when the Second World War was going on, the world leader decided to set up such a international political organization more powerful than the previous one, than the League of Nations. That's why this organization, the United Nations, was established on the eve of, or established after the Second World War. It was established after the Second World War in the year 1945. But thing is that some world leaders, the prominent leaders of the world, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin, they proceeded with the formation of the United Nations. And at the same time, they met Yalta Conference. They all of them met Yalta, a place where the Yalta Conference was held. But these leaders, in Yalta Conference, decided to take a resolution in order to make the world free of political tension, in order to make the whole world free of any kind of controversial issues, and they all took an oath to establish a cordial relationship among the nation states, among the member states of the United Nations, so that they must attend all the conferences of the United Nations and must pay respect towards its ideals, towards its mottos, towards its aims and objectives. That's why Yalta Conference is very important in the history of the world. The world leaders took initiative for saving the whole world free of any political tension. The next one, main aim of the UNO. Main aim of the UNO. You know, the UNO was established in order to check another world war. Already two world wars took place. Two world wars took place. First World War and Second World War. In order to check another world war, possibility of another world war, the UNO was established. So what is the main aim of the UNO? The main of the UNO is to save the coming generation from the surge of war and to ensure peace, solidarity, brotherhood in the world. Only a peaceful world can attain social progress according to them. According to them, only a peaceful world can ensure, can attain social progress, better living, justice, and security. So this is the main aim of the UNO. Next point, my dear students. Next point, UN Charter. UN Charter, was introduced with a view to fulfill the aims and objectives of the UNO. What are the aims and objectives? In my previous class I discussed, my dear students, but today in brief form I am teaching you what are the aims and objectives of the United Nations: to maintain international peace, to maintain international security, to develop friendly relations among nations based of equal rights and self-determination, to cooperate in solving international crises, international problems of economic, social, cultural and humanitarian character, and to promote social progress and better standards of life. Besides, in order to promote, it promotes and encourage respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all. So these are the most important aims and objectives of the United Nations. But in order to fulfill its aims and objectives, all the members of the United Nations should be more and more active so that it must not fail to achieve its success, like the previous political organization, the League of Nations. The League of Nations failed to achieve its success because of the non-cooperative attitude of its member states. That's why this time the three world leaders, the President of America, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Prime Minister of England, Winston Churchill, and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin, strictly instructed all the member countries to be conscious, alert, sincere towards their duties and responsibilities they are supposed to shoulder perfectly. According to them, the achievements of the United Nations could be possible only when its member countries would play positive role and would be able to solve the problems of the international problem of international, any type of international problems with by in consultation with each other. So unity among the nation countries is very important according to them, the unity. So these were the issues, these were the points discussed by the three world leaders during conducting a conference at Yalta. Besides, they also drafted charter, UN charter. This UN charter is one of the most important cause of success of the United Nations. It was drafted by the three world leaders, and this UN charter helped United Nations organizations to follow up a concrete program and to allow its member countries to be attentive, to be dedicated towards their duties and responsibilities. At present, the UN, commonly referred to as the UN, has 193 member nations. Their headquarters is at New York in the US. But thing is that the UN Charter, why was UN Charter drafted? What was its use? The UN Charter emerged as a result of the meeting at Yalta. The Yalta Conference gave a birth of the UN Charter. According to the UN Charter, the aims and objectives of the UNO were framed, and according to that aims and objectives, the UNO has decided to have many of its organs. Through these organs, it would work without having any working load. In order to reduce working load, there are so many organs of the United Nations, and these organs were instructed to work independently but in consultation with each other. Wherever they would need to have any cooperation of others, the other organs would come forward for their assistance. These organs, as you know, I mentioned in my previous class, I am once again telling you, these organs are the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Social and Economic Council, the Secretariat, the International Court of Justice, and so these are the most important organs of the United Nations organization. And some few more organs also are there, just like organs also are there, but these are not important. The most important organs are, as I mentioned, General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, Secretariat, and International Court of Justice. These are the most important organs of the United Nations. Now, first and foremost organ is General Assembly. What is General Assembly? Why was General Assembly set up? As I mentioned earlier, under the terms of the UN Charter Act, framed by the eminent leaders of the world at Yalta, the organs like the General Assembly generally plays an important role in solving international problems and in establishing a bridge among different organs of the United Nations. For example, it works in consultation with the Security Council. Security Council is another most important and powerful organs of the United Nations. But General Assembly works in consultation with the Security Council. That's why General Assembly is known as World Parliament. World Parliament, because every member countries are instructed to be present in all its meetings and seminars, because day long. It works day to night for solving all types of problems of the whole world, not any particular problems of any particular country, but the problems of different countries of the world. That's why all the members of the United Nations are the members of the General Assembly. The General Assembly may even be called the World Parliament. Short question may come from there. So this type of short question may come, but you have to answer very carefully. Why is the General Assembly known as the World Parliament? All the member states of the United Nations send their representatives to the General Assembly. That's why it is known as the World Parliament. It is the largest organ of the UN due to its huge composition. Because the United Nations, because General Assembly has, since General Assembly has a huge composition, that's why it is known as the largest organ of the UN. Another short question may come from here. Why is the General Assembly known as the largest organ of the UN? In that case, what will you write? You have to write only one line answer. What is? Due to its huge composition, the General Assembly is known as the largest organ of the United Nations. Answer is finished. Next point, it meets once a year. It meets once every calendar. It meets once every calendar year between the third week of September to the last week of December. And the General Assembly elects the presidents for every session. For every session, General Assembly elects its president. General Assembly elects its president for every session, and they meet for 2 months. General Assembly meet for 2 months. General Assembly every session, and they meet. These sessions meet for 2 months. But in an emergency, a session of the General Assembly can be called any time. At any time, any session can be called, mentioning as emergency session. Under the charter of the Secretary General is appointed. Under the charter, UN Charter, which was framed by the 3 world leaders at the time when the United Nations Organization was established. According to the Charter of the UN, it has decided that UN will have one Secretary General, and this Secretary General would be elected by the General Assembly, but in consultation with whom? In consultation with the Security Council. The Security Council would help General Assembly in the election of the Secretary General. The Secretary General will be elected, will be appointed by the General Assembly in consultation with the Security Council. And the recommendation is sent by the Security Council to the General Assembly, and the General Assembly appoints a person to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. Up to this, my dear students, thank you.